Thank you, Mohua. Good evening. Welcome to today's international webinar, Mental Wellbeing at the Time of Pandemic. Today we have a very eminent speaker, Mrs. Sunita Lama, amongst us. I welcome her on behalf of my college, BANIPUR MAHILA MAHAVIDYALAYA. As the COVID-19 pandemic swept rapidly across the globe, it had created immense psychological impacts on human beings. Some of these impacts created abnormal stress and anxiety amongst people of all generations throughout the world. Measures that had been suggested by doctors and government in different countries, like physical isolation, quarantine, lockdown, etc., contributed to rise in depression, self-harm, harmful alcohol and drug use, and as a result, domestic violence towards women increased rapidly. As many people had lost their jobs throughout the world, economic condition became worse for them, and that also added to their mental depression. COVID-19 outbreak also generated stigma and xenophobia, which has major harmful effects for human society. How we can get out of this situation, let us hear from Mrs. Sunita Lama. Now over to her. Thank you.
Thank you, madam. Tell you a little bit about the rules of webinar. First, I would like to inform everyone that this webinar has garnered a wide response from various people from various walks of life, and we have only been able to accommodate 200 people. So, we have arranged to have this webinar telecast live on YouTube. The link is posted in the chat box. If you want, you can share it with your friends who have shown much interest in this webinar but have not been able to register. The link is being posted. Link for live telecast of this webinar in YouTube is being posted in the chat box of Google Meet. You can share it with your friends. And now for the rules of the webinar. Firstly, participants are requested to keep your audio and video muted during the webinar. Please do not mute the speaker. Please do not mute the speaker. This is a big hindrance which we are facing in many of the webinars. And the feedback link for certificates will be posted in due time after the speaker has finished her talk. Please do not continue messaging in the chat box asking for the feedback link. It is very important for you to fill up the feedback form so as to get the certificates which are auto-generated. No request for certificates will be entertained later on. Now let us go into technical section. Let me introduce myself. I am Mohua Basu, the IQAC coordinator of Banipur Mahila Mahavidyalaya. And I am honored to have amongst us a wonderful person and my dear friend, Mrs. Sunita Lama. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She currently resides in Dubai, UAE, as an instructor at the higher colleges of technology. She has been in the teaching career for more than 20 years and is very passionate about her job. She teaches English to students and runs a number of clubs, student wellness. Her present fields of interest are use of technology in teaching and learning, incorporating mindfulness in teaching and learning, student wellness. She grew up in the Mystic Hills of Darjeeling and makes it a point to visit her hometown every year. She says that one cannot forget her roots. She graduated from Downhill School, Kurseong, where we met, and after that she attained her bachelor's degree from Loreto College, now Springfield, Darjeeling, and then went on to do her master's and MPhil in English from Nehu, Shillong. She is a trained mindfulness coach and hopes to start her own mindfulness center for young adults in the near future. She spends her free time teaching English communication skills to blue-collar workers and other community service programs. Over to you now, Sunita.
So, good evening, everyone, and thank you very much. I would like to start by expressing my heartfelt gratitude to Banipur Mahila Mahavidyalaya for giving me this very huge platform I'm honored to be here, and I'm so glad to have this platform to share with you something that I feel very deeply about. I would also like to extend my gratitude to my friend Mahua, because of whom I'm here, and I think to the IT department for getting everything ready to have a platform like this where we can come together, support each other, and share our expertise in whatever way possible. Thirdly, I would like to extend my gratitude to all the participants for taking the time to be here this evening. You have chosen to come and to participate, so I offer my heartfelt gratitude to you. I really feel very honored, and I do hope what I'm going to share with you today will help you. You'll be able to take something with you, and it'll impact in some way or the other. So thank you very much. Thank you to one and all. So before we start, can I please invite you to take a minute of silence, right? So let's observe a minute of silence. I'm going to put on a timer on my phone. And in this silence, what I would like you to do is, because like throughout the day, we've been busy with our activities. And so we could still be preoccupied with all of the things that we did throughout the day today. And part of us could also be lost in our planning for what is going to come this evening, tonight, tomorrow, etc. Right? But I would like to bring the whole of you into this seminar. So let's just observe a minute of silence. And first, what I would like you to do is, could you take your attention to your feet? Notice your feet touching the ground. Notice the solidity. So that tells us when we take our attention to our feet, we notice that we are physically here. So physically, we are present in this space, in this virtual space where we are coming together for a purpose. Yeah. So that's physical presence. Now, could I ask you to take your attention to your breath? Don't change your breathing, just observe yourself breathing. So you are here with your senses as well. So you notice your breathing and you notice the touch of your feet on the ground. So physically, emotionally, spiritually, mentally, you're here. And we are holding this space together. We are here to discuss a very important topic, which is our well-being, our mental well-being. And all of us here are basically educators or students. So what could we do to maintain our well-being, our sanity in this challenging time of COVID-19? Thank you very much. Thank you for that. So I'm going to share with you my presentation so that okay. 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 Could you let me know if you can see the presentation?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. So the topic is, can the pandemic be our teacher? A teacher for life. So this is how I would like you to look at the present situation that we are in. Now, what has been the impact of COVID-19 on us on a global level? So a number of things, isn't it? Like, for instance, this fear. The fear of what is going to happen to me. What is going to happen to my life? What is going to happen to my education? What is going to happen to my near and dear ones? So this sense of fear is there. It has been there since the time this pandemic came about. And secondly is the sense of uncertainty. So all of a sudden, we've come to this state where what we thought was ours for life, we had worked very hard to get a job, to have a house, to get the kind of education we wanted. But with the onset of the pandemic, what happened? Everything was disrupted. So now all that is left is uncertain. We don't know what is there for us tomorrow or even half an hour from now. So this uncertainty of how long this COVID is going to be here, what is the next you know next step or effect of the pandemic, etc. What's going to happen to our job, our income, our life, our living condition, education, health, etc. So that sense of uncertainty. Then, because of COVID, we've had to maintain social distancing, which means our social life has been impacted, and that has brought about a sense of loneliness, fear, yeah, and um, and this has a lot of repercussion. Then we've had a number of challenges because we were in our comfort zone. Nobody likes to be, we don't like changes, right? So having to face these challenges, having to come out of our comfort level, that's not easy. So this is another challenge. Then this feeling of discomfort, because we are human beings and we are creatures of habit. So we've had to, with the onset of the pandemic, we've had to change our habit patterns. That isn't easy. So a sense of discomfort. Then, because of this fear and uncertainty, loneliness, number of challenges, we have a psychological stress, trauma, tension, like anxiety, yeah, lack of focus, not willing to do anything. There is no sense of motivation because we don't see purpose, right? And huge amount of stress. What am I going to do? How am I going to do? What will my life be? What is going to happen to me henceforth? And then because of all these stress and tension, our physical life is impacted. So we suffer from anxiety, we have depression, we are lost in stories that we create or we hear. And then there is a huge sense of negativity. And because of negativity, we are angry, we feel a sense of hopelessness. We don't see purpose anymore, yeah, because of what has happened. And then there's a huge sense of unhappiness and tremendous amount of pressure. And this is not just for students or teachers, this is for everyone on a global level and to everyone, whether it is old or the young, working, not working. Yes. So on a massive level, this is what the impact of COVID-19 has been. So in other words, like I put it in bracket, it is a revelation of truth. I think this is how I look at the pandemic. If you give it a deeper thought, it has come to reveal to us the truth which we've always hidden or we've tried to run away from. And what is that truth? That life is suffering. Everything is impermanent. So this is the huge message that COVID-19 has brought out to us. And we have to learn to accept this truth. Yes, to cope with this truth. Now, what has been the effect? So number one, as I said earlier, we have this feeling of incompetency. I'm not good enough. I'm not worthy enough. Because why? I can't meet the challenge of this pandemic. I'm not able to prove my worth. I'm not able to beat it. I'm not able to be my normal self. We constantly judge ourselves. Yeah. We blame other people. So yeah, other people, like situation and time. The government is not able to help us. People around are not able to help us. This time is bad. This situation is bad. We forget that we are whole. Yes. We forget that there is this pandemic, but then there is something outside of this pandemic as well. So we've contracted ourselves in this little space of the pandemic, and that's where we are lost. And then another thing is, like, as I said earlier, we have a way of working. We have our own habit patterns. And when somebody tells us to do something, when somebody asks us to change our ways, we are reluctant. And this is what has happened. There is a sense of reluctance to adhere to precautionary measures. And that has impacted again. That's another level of impact of the impact of the pandemic. So we don't want to listen, we don't want to change, we don't want to adhere. And there's nothing wrong in that. That's our nature. Then, yeah, transition is hard. Why? Because we are creatures of habit, right? So we don't want to change. We don't want to adapt. We don't want to accept that which is new. So what do? We repel. And when we repel, we become angry. It affects us. It affects our well-being. And we've reached a stage when we don't have trust, we don't have faith. There's lack of trust, there's lack of faith. Because who do we believe? What do we believe? What is truth? Where is that truth? And then we have this sense, like our brain. We have that part of the brain that wants to fight instead of accepting the present situation, we want to fight it. Or we want to just freeze. We don't want to. So that's when we have this sense of depression because we don't want to do anything. So, and then here is this. We are all somebody in training trying to meet a certain standard, and there is no end to this. So, like, we are too ambitious. We always want to achieve a certain level of success. We achieve that level of success, and that's not enough. Once we reach there, we have another standard that we set ourselves. And then it goes on and on and on. That's another level. And that's one reason why we have this huge sense of unhappiness and anger with us in this present situation. Because the present situation is out of our control. Yeah. And not being able to control, not being able to do what we usually did to overcome it, that brings unhappiness, that makes us angry, that makes us judge ourselves, feel that we are not worthy. So what we need to remember is that yes, we think we are caught in a rat race, that we all are in a rat race, and we try our best to win the rat race. But even when we win the rat race, we are still a rat. So do we want to be a rat, or can we come up? You know, elevate ourselves. Can we make an effort to elevate ourselves? I think that's the second message that the pandemic has brought out. So, what can we do? So, this is the situation that we are in in the time of the pandemic. However, as I said, we are there's a lot we can do. In each of us, there is strength to overcome this. How can we face this? The first and the most important step is take this inward journey. Look within our it's time for us. So the pandemic is a situation that is outside. Yes, it's external. Now, can I control the pandemic? No, I can't. So what do I need to do? I have to come to myself, look within. How can I accept this challenge? And once I accept, what can I do? So recognize, look within and recognize all the voices, like what is happening to me because of the situation that I'm in. I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm incompetent, I can't study or I can't work or I can't go out and meet my friends, I can't enjoy my life. So all of these emotions, look within, feel what is happening to me. Because the only thing that I can change or the only person that I can change is myself. Yeah. The only emotions that I can control is mine. So it's time for us to take that inward journey. Understand that life in reality is suffering. So what do I do with that suffering? Do I allow that suffering to take over me? Or can I work with this suffering and become the better of myself? So Taking that inward journey, looking at myself, understanding my emotions, I can build my resilience, my strength. I can become emotionally strong. I can become competent. And once I have this competence, I will find a way to face this challenge of the pandemic. I can accept truth. What is the truth? That this virus is one that I have to accept as as a challenge that has come. Yes. And whatever is required of me, whatever instructions I have been given, I need to follow, I need to do, and I need to be part of it. Having accepted the truth, I can then evolve. Like as I said, we are we are creatures of we human beings can do a lot of things. We have the potential, we have the capacity, we have the skills and the wisdom. So taking that journey inward will help us tap into our wisdom, and this is the time for us to tap into that wisdom. We need to evolve, and we can evolve only if we accept the truth. We shouldn't give up by becoming angry and thinking that, oh, I can't do it. Learn new problem solving skills and techniques. So it's time for us to become innovative. Come out of our comfort zone. Come out of the box that we had placed ourselves in. Come out. Become bigger. Become wiser. And to do all of this, what do we need? Huge amount of patience. We will fail. Yes, it's natural. But failure is not the end of the journey. In that failure, there's a lesson. I have to see what is the lesson. I have to have the patience to again calm myself down and look at that lesson in my failure. So keep practicing, keep taking one step after another. And then I have to change my mindset. I have to change the way I think or the way I look at my surroundings, my external world. And I have to change my attitude of repelling or fighting. I have to now become more kind, accepting towards this difficult situation and all the difficult emotions that I'm going through. And this is very important. We have to believe and understand that we are in this fight together. We are in this challenge together. So we are a collective, we are a whole. So we need to come together, just like in this webinar. All of us are coming together because we have a common cause. And believing in this unity or this relation that we make, we are strong and we can come up with a solution. So believing in the power of the collective, never give up. And finally, we have to be mindful. We have to watch, what are my thoughts? Why am I becoming angry? Why am I thinking I'm not good enough? Why am I becoming hopeless? What are the challenges? As I said, there are a lot of challenges outside, but can I make peace with that challenge? I have to look within myself to make peace with that challenge. So there is a quote from Maharaj Nisargadatta who says, all you need is within you. Only you must approach yourself with reverence and love. So the time that we have now calls for us to be extremely kind towards ourselves, extremely patient towards ourselves. Because first of all, we have to understand what is my state in this challenge. How do I feel? What is happening to me? What are my emotions? What are my thoughts? Yes, what are my challenges? Looking within, finding a way to deal with my own problems. And to understand myself, I need a lot of reverence, I need a lot of patience, I need a lot of kindness and compassion. Your constant fight from pain and search for pleasure is your love for yourself. So this is, we always, all along, we've been ambitious. And why are we ambitious? Because we want to do something. We want to become something in life. And who do I want to become that something? For myself. So that is proof enough that I love myself. Yeah. So making that love, make love for yourself perfect. You are beyond, you are infinite. So we can definitely face this pandemic. We can definitely face this challenge. Only what is required is how we look at it, how we accept it. What is it that we can do? Or yeah. So some of the skills. So, and these are like whatever I'm sharing with you today are my own experiences. This is what I have done with myself. And then having had a level of success in coping with the challenge of the present time, I designed a kind of initiative for my students. My students worked on it for a month, and they've also realized the benefit of having these skills. So what are some of the skills that we need to develop? So I already mentioned this self-care skills, like how can I take care of myself? So my own well-being. So to take care of myself, I have to, as I said earlier, and I'll be discussing this in detail later, like people I hang out with, or the kind of news that I expose myself to. Um, how do I allow things that I hear or feel affect me? So that's self-care skills. What can I do to myself so that I am productive? So build healthy, productive connections. So now, yes, we are socially distanced, but there are so many ways that we can still connect. So who do I connect with at this time is important. Yes, we need to have healthy connections that will help us, will will help us in this time of challenge. And then, like staying at home, we have a lot of free time. So keeping ourselves occupied, busy, seeing our talent and our skill in something else, like so pursuing a hobby that we had. It's very important to do some kind of a physical activity, because we know that science proves it, that we are nothing but energy. So when we sit in one place idle with all these thoughts going on in our mind, we have blockages in our body. So when we walk or we do some physical activity, it balances those energies, like you release them. They are knotted inside us, and when we walk, or when we do a physical activity, when we exercise, we release those energies, and that's helpful. And it's time for us to unlearn a lot of things, relearn. It's time for us to emerge, to accept, to change, to unlearn a number of things, relearn them, emerge, and co-create, work together collectively to come up with something new, which is the need of the hour. So reach out. If you are upset, and if you feel that it is too much for you to handle, then please talk to someone that you can rely on, someone who you can trust. Ask for help. There is no harm in asking for help. As I said, we are social, we are social animals. We need company. So reach out. So one is this, we reach out when we need help, and we also reach out to provide help. Can I do something for someone? What can I do? Whatever is possible, it doesn't have to be big. And then limit exposure to negativity, like the news on media. Half the thing that is said is not true. So where can it? So it's very important for us to draw a line to what we expose ourselves to, be it the news, social media, TV, devices, unhealthy conversations. So again, that's important for our own well-being. Then practice compassion. Be kind to yourself. Yes, be kind to everyone. Everyone is suffering. Everyone is going through pain. Even children. So, can we be compassionate? Can we be patient and loving towards them? Let us not beat them by giving them, putting deadlines. Oh, you've got to do this. Yeah. But then let's look, sit with them and talk to them and find out how is it possible? Can we, break it down? And it's also time for us to be grateful because no matter what, yes, we are going through a crisis, but at the same time, we have our life. Yes, we are still alive. So we must be grateful and acknowledge ourselves for the effort we are making to cope with the situation. That's important. So I did a course on the science of well-being with a very well-known professor of psychology from Yale University, and the four areas that she emphasized in that course, it was a 10-week course, was gratitude, the sense of having, uh, being grateful, being thankful for whatever we have, and then increasing our own happiness by taking care of ourselves. Then sitting with ourselves, having time to sit alone so that we can contemplate, we can reflect, and savoring, enjoying the moment, being in the present. So then to talk about self-care in further detail. So as I was talking earlier, our so we have this habit, our brain always focuses on the negative. It's natural. It's very natural for our brain to think of something that went wrong and to amplify it. Now, in this time, that is not going to work. What do we have to do? We have to rewire our brain. We have to develop a new habit pattern. And what is that new habit? A new habit of focusing on things that are positive. Like every day in our life, good things happen too. Think of the first cup of coffee or tea that you had this morning. You had that cup of coffee, isn't it? So that was a good way to start your day. Can we appreciate that? What about the warm food on the table? You prepared it or somebody prepared for you. You had it. So how can we be grateful for that? So that's what we mean by rewiring, forcing or training our brain to think about little good things that happen to us on a daily basis so that we come out of that old habit pattern of beating ourselves, by thinking on what we did wrong or what the wrong thing that happened to us. And this is also a time for us to set goals. Now, goals, not big goals, but small goals. Like, let's say, for example, right now I don't feel too good. So I land up sleeping for a longer period of time. So my goal can be to reduce my hours of sleep. Yeah? So my wish, we have this a goal setting thing called WHOOP. WHOOP is an acronym where W stands for wish. So my wish is to reduce my sleeping time because I feel I've become very lazy. And what happens if I reduce my sleeping time? The outcome is I become active. And becoming active is definitely much better than being lazy. But what is the obstacle? There is an obstacle. So the realization that it's not easy for me to achieve my goal. Right? So the obstacle is that maybe I'll feel I won't be, committed enough to wake up early or to limit my sleeping hours. So I put a plan. Yeah. So today I reduce my sleeping hours by half an hour. So the next day I reduce it by 1 hour, etc. So I make a plan, achievable plan, small achievable goals. Why small? Because small, it's easy to achieve. And what happens when I achieve it? I have a sense of, I feel good about myself. That feeling of, you know, that feel good factor is very important to motivate because that's what is lacking right now. So, doing something on a small scale, having a goal, setting small scale goals, achieving it to motivate ourselves, important. And then it's very important for us to be constructive. Let's not waste time by thinking and ruminating, feeding ourselves with all the negativity. Instead, let's use that time to practice our hobbies, to exercise, to do some kind of a physical activity, to write in our journals, to read, to help someone, and to also follow precautionary measures that set, because we are, each one of us are responsible. Yes, we all contribute. As I said, we are in this together. It's a collective journey. So all of us have a role to play, and we must play this role sincerely. And self-care also means looking after our eating habits. We have, when we are upset, or when we are sad, or when we are angry, or when we don't really feel mentally well, then we indulge in unhealthy eating habits. So that's something we need to watch. Our sleep habits. Then how can we stay active? Again, I repeat, being mindful, watching my thought patterns, not going to what happened yesterday and what's going to happen tomorrow, but being what is here for me now, being in the now, being present. That's important. And then the second um, skill is developing the skill of gratitude, saying thank you, appreciating everything that happens, because we can't. What has the pandemic taught us? That this life is precious. This life cannot be taken for granted. So whatever comes in our way is a gift. Do we ever appreciate that gift? How much have we appreciated? Little things. So saying thank you, even if you don't say it loudly, say it to yourself within. Feel feel that emotion of gratitude and see how that makes you bigger. And then being grateful, see, what are the things that we can be grateful for like, for, let's say we are students and teachers here. So being grateful that in spite of this pandemic, we are still able to study. We still have the resources. Some of us have the devices, some of us don't have the devices. But if we have the devices, then being grateful for that. The connection, having a good connection, Wi-Fi system, having teachers who are willing to help, having students who are willing to learn. Yes, all the facilities that's needed now, the space, like space at home to study, family support. So this is just a short list. The list can go on. The more you reflect, you will find we have so many things to be grateful for. Then grateful for the family, grateful for being able to meet our daily needs. In spite of the pandemic, we still have a good life. We are still comfortable. We still have the fortune to have our meals on time. Grateful for technology, because that's one of the most important thing in this present time. So being able to connect, any form of connection, any form of resources that keeps us um, connected with people who matter to us. And then grateful for having a social circle. In spite of distancing, we are still able to connect. So being grateful for that, because that's important for our mental well-being. And looking on the positive side, focusing on the positive. So time, like right now, we are all in our own spaces at home, confined to our houses. And so there is positive in that. Of course, we are angry that we have to stay at home, we can't go out, our normal lives are disrupted. But can we see that in staying at home too, there are so many things that we can appreciate? For example, we are not wasting our time going out. Think of the traffic. If we had to go out and work, we would waste our time. Right now, we have that time for ourselves to do something more, beneficial. Then we are away from noise and pollution. We have time to be with our family. So build, that bond with the family. All along, we've been very busy. We haven't had this time. So now is the time to connect with family members. We have the time to eat home cooked food on time. So little things. And also, this pandemic has come up to give us this opportunity to learn, to grow, to accept, to see the reality of things, to accept reality, to grow, to learn. Yeah? And also, wherever we are safe. So I think that's another important aspect that needs huge focus. Right? Instead of being angry, can we be grateful that we are safe? Yes. And yes, meditate, because it's very important for us to have this moment of silence. It's very important for us to be in our own space because, as I said, the strength is in us, the wisdom is in us. And you can tap into that wisdom if you give yourself time, if you give yourself space. We've been caught in the noises of the external world. Yes? Can we make time to just be with ourselves? And there are a number of ways we can do that. So many exercises. Like I've mentioned, these are two exercises that I do with my students, and it really works very. I mean, my students like it very much. They find it very beneficial anytime that they are stressed, nervous, unhappy, not able to focus. So they do these exercises. These are breathing exercises. If you want, I can share with you later. And then lastly is savoring the moment, the present time. Yes. We are lost in thoughts, thought about the past, plans about future. But right now, what has the pandemic taught us? That nothing is certain. Life is uncertain. Do you know what is going to happen 5 minutes from now? No. So what is it that we need to focus on? The only thing that we need to focus on is this present moment, right here, right now. So be in the now, be present, be alive, be aware. So how can I be present? How can I be by being by noticing things that is around me at this time. I am here sitting in front of my computer giving this presentation, and I'm grateful for having this opportunity to do this. And I'm here with my thoughts, my complete being. Yes. And then practicing kindness and compassion. This is the greatest call of the hour. We've got to be kind to ourselves because we are facing a crisis. Just like a parent, how are we towards our children? We love them. Yes, we give them all our kindness, care, and compassion. Can we give this to ourselves too? Can we, when we are not able to achieve what we are meant to, can we not beat ourselves and say, oh, I'm no good, I'm incompetent? In this time, we have to tell ourselves, it's okay, I failed, but I tried, so I'm good. At least I made the effort to try. I failed this time. I'm going to try again and I will come out of this. I will be able to do that. It's just that I need some time. So be kind towards yourself, be compassionate towards yourself. And then do things that nourish you. What are activities that bring about happiness, makes you happy? For some of us, it may be cooking for the family. For some of us, maybe it's listening to music. For some of us, writing, walking, connecting with nature, whatever, however that is possible. So, can we do these things, even if it is for 5 minutes? Because that will nourish us. We need to take care of ourselves. We need to nurture ourselves. As I said, I'm giving you an example of a mother. How does a mother look after her child? That's the kind of care we need to give ourselves. So connect with nature. This is important because nature heals us. So if there is a possibility to do this, find time to be with yourself. I mentioned this earlier. Don't beat yourself. As I said, we fail. It's natural. This is a challenging time. We are trying. We are trying to do things that we didn't know before. So when we learn something new, it's natural that we won't be successful. So that it's okay. It's okay to fail. Yes, that's not the end of the. It's failure is a stepping stone. So can we accept it as a stepping stone? And also, We cannot heal the world. We cannot heal the outside. We cannot solve everyone's problem. We can try. We can try and provide support, but we cannot solve it for them, right? So let's not feel bad when we can't do it. Let's not feel, oh, I am no good because I couldn't help this person. I'm no good because I can't help my students. Or for students, I'm no good because I can't do what my teacher tells me to do. But realizing, okay, how much of the work that I was assigned to me, how much have I achieved? Even if I have achieved 1%, that's very good. I did something. Yes? So what is important for us to know is peace. It is very important for us to have this sense of peace within us, because then we will have the skill to face the challenge that is outside. So a few things, like yesterday I attended a webinar and I saw a few things that schools or education institutions are doing in different parts of the world, especially in marginalized societies, to cope with the challenge of the pandemic, and also to provide education to everyone, so includes bringing about that sense of inclusion. So like here, so this is yeah. So the webinar is presented by a group of, it's a charity organization based in the UK called United World School. So they work in setting up schools in the most rural parts of of the mainly underprivileged countries. So like Nepal, Burma, I think there's Thailand as well. So some of these so these were some of the things that was discussed yesterday, and I thought it would be good to share here. So, like in Nepal, now some remote village where there is no technology, no means of technology. What are the education institutions using? They're using radios, recording lessons for children to listen and complete their task. So here, this is in Myanmar, where they've adopted, parents need to be educated as much as children. So they've come up with an initiative where they go from one house to another in a village, talk to parents, tell them about the precautionary measures and how best they can provide support to their children so that education can continue. And then in some places there in Myanmar, they've come up with being physically present, but then maintaining that distance. So small teaching groups, flexible classrooms, and then 15 minutes. So they've come up with project-based learning where there's just 15 minutes of physical presence, and then work is assigned and students go and do it on their own, and then they submit it. So in some places, they would also use loudspeakers to, uh, you know, teach. And then there was one educator who said, like post COVID-19, what kind of school should we have? So he says, his name is Mr. Kunal Banerjee, he says, so instead of a classroom, an entire village, so this is about the marginalized societies. So in these, remote areas, the whole village can be a classroom. And we can have 10 days of schooling. What can be the topics to talk about, like local village food, sustainability, and emphasis should be on the philosophy of simple living instead of teaching people or students to be materialistic, because I think that's the one mistake we've made. And what are the subjects that can be taught? Biography of local people like teachers, doctors, sports persons. So somebody in society that students can relate to. Music, humanity, farming and selling farm produced goods, sports, imagination. So an ideal school post COVID-19. And then I'll go back to the definition of education. So throughout the ages, wise men and women from Confucius in the East to Aristotle in the West have declared that education is central to human condition. So I think when we talk about education, this is what it is. It's not about teaching the subjects, but how can we talk about human condition? How can we enrich ourselves? How can we make ourselves whole? What is it that we need to tap into so that we can cope with the suffering that life is? Real wisdom. Can we teach that? So John Dewey went as far as saying that education is not preparation for life. So it's not about teaching our children to be materialistic, to become doctors and engineers and lawyers. Education is life itself. So can we learn from life? And I think this is what the pandemic has come to teach us. So the pathway home at the time of crisis is this. Very simple. I have a very simple list. We are responsible for our experience. Like as I said, whatever happens on the outside, we can't change. But instead of reacting, can I take a pause and respond? So I'm responsible for how I respond to the situation. What is the experience that I can take from this situation? Negative, positive, that's in my control. Yeah. And then let's open our hearts. It's time for us to, be open, accept, have that childlike curiosity to welcome whatever is there and see everything that comes up as a lesson to learn from. And people, yes, there are mistakes that happen. Can we forgive? Let's not judge them. Let's not blame. Let's not play a blame game because everyone is going through a crisis. And when we go through a crisis, we make mistakes. So let's forgive, not judge. Let's keep trying. Let's not give up. This is a challenging time, but we can overcome it. So we need to have that hope. We need to keep trying. As I said, we are storehouses of wisdom, creativity, talent, skill. We need to tap. Just the right button has to be pressed. And we need support of each other. So let's be there for each other. Let's be positive. Let's be grateful. Let's have a heart presence for life that is right here, right now. So live in the now. Right now, what do I need to do? Right now, what do I need to do? So it keeps on. Not about yesterday and not about future. Let's look inward to our basic goodness and the wisdom that is there as the guiding force. And finally, I'd like to end with this quote. I don't know how many of you are familiar with Winnie the Pooh. So this is a conversation between Winnie the Pooh and Piglet. So Winnie says, "Today was a difficult day," said Winnie the Pooh. There was a pause. "Do you want to talk about it?" asked Piglet. "No," said Pooh after a bit. "No, I don't think I do." "That's okay," said Piglet, and he came and sat beside his friend. "What are you doing?" asked Pooh. "Nothing really," said Piglet. "Only I know what difficult days are like. I quite often don't feel like talking about it on my difficult days either. But goodness," continued Piglet, "difficult days are so much easier when you know you've got someone there for you. And I'll always be here for you, Pooh." And as Pooh sat there, working through in his head his difficult days, while the solid, reliable Piglets sat next to him quietly, swinging his little legs, he thought that his best friend had never been more right. So with this, I would like to close. Just a
Thank you, Sunita.
just a sec. I'm just able
Yeah,
to. I'm just coming back. Yeah. Okay. So
yeah,
yeah.
please.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay. So thank you so much, Sunita, for a wonderful explanation of how we can deal with stress during the times of the pandemic and how self-care is of utmost importance. And thank you so much also for letting us know how we can adjust our education is of primary importance to meet the needs of the marginalized society and also for the students and for educators also. We all have to learn how to adjust. That is it. Thank you so much. If you have any questions for our speaker, please write the question in the chat box and your name. If you have any question, if you want to ask anything, please write your question in the chat box. Presentation was very lucid, so everyone is satisfied, I think. There are no questions. So we go on to our next session, that is the valedictory session. I request Professor Rima Kanjilal, Head of the Department of Education, Manipur Mahila Mahavidyalaya, to please give the valedictory address. Rima.
Thank you, Professor Basu. Thank you, ma'am. First of all, we are really very fortunate to have you amongst us. And we are really, really, very, I mean, the way you have said your lecture, it was excellent, ma'am. It was very informative and really very helpful for all of us during this time. So thank you so much, ma'am. So for coming to this webinar. So I thank our principal also, Dr. Michelle Bush Tosida, who has helped us in every possible way to make this webinar a success. I thank our IQAC coordinator, Professor Muha Basu, who has really helped us to organize and through whom we have met you, ma'am. So we are really grateful to her and to you also. And I thank all the participants for their patience and kind hearing. I thank the technical expertise of our college who has helped us to organize this webinar. I thank the teaching and non-teaching staff of our college who have also helped us in every possible way for this successful webinar. So thank you so much. Thank you, ma'am, once again. Thanks for your lovely speech, wonderful speech. We are really enlightened. Thank you, ma'am. And so the webinar ends over here, but before you, thank you, ma'am. So before you leave,
I just want to say, I just want to say a huge thank you, my gratitude to every one of you for your presence. And yes, so this, I hope that you'll be able to take something from this.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Very useful for us, ma'am. Very useful for us, really.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. And before you leave, please, the link for feedback form is given in the chat box. Participants, please fill up the feedback form. Otherwise, you won't get your e-certificate. So please, before you leave, please fill up the feedback form. So this is the end of the webinar. Thank you very much, ma'am, and thank you.
Not for you, Sunita. You don't need to fill up the feedback form.
Oh.
Not for you.
Not for you.
Only for the participants.
But thank you very much to all the participants. Okay, sorry.
No, please continue.
I wish you all the best. As I said, believe in yourself, and we are definitely going to come out of this with all positivity and having gained a lot. So,
the positivity is really very important. That is the main thing, ma'am, actually. No.
Yes.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you.
Our principal madam is online.
Yes.
Okay,
So I just want to say thank you very much. Thank you very much. Thank you all. Especially Mrs. Lama, I thank you very much. Thank you.
Participants, please don't forget to fill up the feedback form. Okay, bye Sunita. We'll talk to you later. Bye bye.